Hi, I'm Linda Ferguson, and I'm going to take just a few minutes to introduce you to the first layer of how NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, could make you better as a trainer or a teacher in front of a room, whether you're in person or in front of a Zoom screen. I'm not going to go into neuro-linguistic programming, one of the worst names ever. Instead, I'm going to tell you that NLP is a state-based model of performance. And what does that mean? Your state is everything about who you are at a given moment in time. It includes your mindset, your beliefs, but it's also about your physiology, what's going on in your body, your emotions, and your focus. So, where mindset or beliefs can be relatively stable, state depends on the situation you're in and the thing you want to do. And if your state is matched to your intention, then your behaviors that will be generated by that state will help you achieve the thing you want to achieve. Your state influences the intention you form, the things you perceive, you pay attention to, and the things you do. And that's how your state becomes the foundation of your results. So begin by thinking about a day when you were training and everything went really well. And as you go back to that day, back up that tape until you get to the part just before you started training. Go back into that memory and allow yourself to explore what were you seeing, which means what were you paying attention to or focusing on with your eyes? What were you hearing? Were you aware of sound and was it around you or in you or both? What did the voice in your head sound like? And then just track down through your body. What was going on in your body in this moment when you were getting ready to do something that went really well? And just notice that's your state for beginning a great training. Now, what makes it complicated is that training isn't one thing, it's a lot of things. As you move through material, sometimes you need to be analytical, sometimes you need to be empathetic, sometimes you might need to be a great storyteller. And separate from what you need to do your role, you also need to connect with your class, your participants. NLP isn't just a state-based model of performance, it's also a state-based model of rapport. Now, how does rapport work? You've probably heard of matching and mirroring. You might think that this is something you do on purpose to make other people feel comfortable. That's not exactly true. When you pay attention to somebody for any reason, when they are in your proximity or in your awareness, you will start to mirror their gestures, their expressions, their tone of voice. And you will be doing that because your brain is trying to get a read on whether this other person is likely to help you or hurt you. That's the job of your brain, to predict what comes next. It can't read somebody else's mind, and it can only tell so much from the outside of their behavior, but by bringing that behavior into your body, it can see how that behavior shifts attention and intention and is likely to shift behavior. So two people in rapport may be like two animals circling each other. They are in sync, they are in attunement, not because they like and trust each other, but because they are getting a read on each other. Now, we need that if we want people to understand us when we are training. We need them to be attuned to us. And that can only happen either because we deliberately attune to their state, or because they are paying such good attention to us, they start to move into the state we bring into the room. So ask yourself, that state you were in before you began a training, the state you know works for being the trainer, is that the state that you want your class to enter into as you begin the training? And the answer, because we know the training went well, is probably it's a good place to start, but it's not enough. It's not enough because A, there are multiple people in a room you are training. This is not like coaching where you maybe only have to track one other person's state. You have to track many states in the room. And as important as it is that people connect to your state, it might be more important to a good training that they connect to one another's state. Because if, as a trainer, you look at a room and they are connected, then you only have to make one connection. If, on the other hand, you look at a state and they are a room full of people and they are in different states, then you have to decide which states do you attune to, how do you grab the attention of other people and bring them into state. You need a toolkit for, first of all, keeping track of states and then deciding how do you hold a state so that people will come to you? How do you adapt a state so that you can support the states that encourage learning in your people? It's complicated. You've probably heard you can only do one thing at a time. That applies only to the conscious mind. Your conscious mind, it is true, can only track one piece of information at a time. But your whole self includes your brain, and your brain is tracking multiple streams of information continuously and using them to make predictions about what you need to do next to move towards your goal or to move away from danger. In, for instance, Daniel Kahneman's big book on thinking fast and slow, one of the principles was when something is too complicated to be analyzed consciously or to be analyzed consciously in the amount of time you have, then you delegate it to what he called thinking fast, which is intuition. It is those funny feelings that prompt us to one thing over another thing. And they're not instincts usually like inborn instincts. None of us were born to teach. They are instincts we develop through practice by noticing states, by paying attention to which states help us train in ourselves, in our groups, by which states are useful at particular points in a training, and then using our senses to scan our groups and find out, are they in the state that will allow them to understand the information I'm going to present next? Or are they in the state that will allow them to comply and engage and do what I'm going to ask them to do? So one of the ways you might do this is I use my eyes to track faces, to notice individuals in my group, and I use my ears when I am in a live room to track the relationships in my group, to hear whether the group is together or fragmented. And my job as a trainer is to pull them all into one state so they can hear important things and not to keep presenting important things before they are ready to hear them. When I need to change the state in a room, the fastest way to do it is to change my own state and to hold it so clearly that anyone paying attention to me will mirror it and they will begin to hold it too. So that if the influential people in a room are mirroring me, we will amplify that state and send it out to more people. And when we're all ready, then we can go deeper into our information. If you don't know what state you're in, if you are so focused on the information and on the class that you've lost track of yourself, you really won't understand that the people in the room might already be taking their cue from you. You won't know when you're leading and when you're following. So the primary responsibility is for a trainer to be aware of their own state and capable of moving to different states as different needs crop up in the room, whether that is the class meeting resistance, whether you find yourself resisting something in the room. You might be confused, they might be confused, you might be tired, they might be tired. All of these things happen because trainers and participants are people. When you notice those kinds of states that aren't supporting learning coming into your room, you need to hold a state you can get to from there. Now, you cannot always get to your peak performance state from the state that you find in your room. So you need to find a more neutral state. It has to have some energy in it because you need to hold the room, and it has to have some grounding in it. And the one that I like to teach is relaxed and ready. Relaxed, not like relaxing on a beach. Relaxed like I am so in flow that I am not wasting energy. All of my energy is directed towards one thing, and the rest of me is relaxed. And ready, meaning I have a clear intention and I am prepared to do what it needs to be done to meet that intention. And if I can hold those two things at the same time, I'm prepared whether I need to go into analysis, whether I need to move to some empathy, whether I need to heighten excitement or to tone it down. It's fun to be in a room. It is a privilege to be leading learning. And it is fun to know that you can manage your own state so that you can lead others into a state where they are going to be able to do their best learning. And when you're ready to have some more fun, to enjoy what you do a little more because you know you're a little better at it, then visit nlpcanada.com. There's lots of free resources there. Maybe pick up a copy of Shifts, my book, or when you're really ready to dig in, you know, as a trainer, there is no substitute for doing the work, for intentional reps with good feedback. Come and take one of our certification courses. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this has been useful. I'm Linda Ferguson, nlpcanada.com.